Okay, now, would you like to share with them your story?
Yes.
Okay, Miss Melissa.
Thank you, everyone, for coming. I do want to share a little bit of my story today. It started out, I grew up in a Christian household with a sister a little bit older than me, and we fought also. Grew up in a Baptist church. I started partying, having fun as a teenager. I was very smart in school. I moved out at the age of 17. I moved in with my dad. And then I moved out. And then I ended up pregnant by the age of 18. My beautiful daughter back there sitting up, Sierra. I was 19 when I had her. She was actually 12 weeks early, so she was a preemie. Me and my ex-husband, well, we had our ups and downs, but we really did love each other. We were really young. I married him, and we got pregnant with Rylan, right there. We actually just grew apart, and he left when I was pregnant. There was a lot of issues on both sides, but it crushed me. I never wanted to be a single mom. So after I had Rylan, I experienced postpartum depression, and I went through it, and I started drinking, and I started taking pain pills for the pain. And the next thing you know, I had a wreck, and I got more pain pills, and before I knew it, I was addicted to opiates. I also was drinking, so the opiate addiction with the drinking, I thought I was having fun. I didn't know what I was doing to my body. I got with this other guy, and about a year later, I was shooting heroin. That's what it leads to. Sad to say, but that's what happens. I began to use needles after attempts to go to rehab. It failed miserably. That's when my whole world fell apart. The boyfriend that I had, he left, and I had a really good job, and he took the rest of the money that I had. I actually lost that job, eventually lost my condo, and the last was my 2 kids. I signed over to my ex-husband. And that day, I remember walking out of that social services. Hey, Ron, I used to never cry.
For real, she did.
For real. So, get up here. She don't cry. Anyway, he came running to me. He was only 18 months old. He held me by the leg, and I had to let go. And right after that was when I shot out the door. I didn't have a thing left to lose. So I found myself in crack houses, and next thing I know, I wake up in the hospital. I had tried to kill myself. Well, I didn't realize I was trying to kill myself. I took a Hoapana and was trying to check myself into rehab. Anyway, I ended up going back to rehab. When I got out of that rehab, I knew I couldn't go back to heroin, so I went to the methadone clinic. You know, when you're on the streets and you're doing that, you think methadone is illegal, or is legal. So, you know, why not? I got into another very sad relationship. I didn't know it at the time. He was very emotionally abusive. That lasted almost 4 years. That was really dark. I remember I was a functioning addict, but I couldn't hold my head up. I couldn't hold a job down. Methadone is the worst thing that anybody could ever put in their body. For 3.5 years, I gained weight. I was mentally abused. My children learned to adapt to it. And I know they remember. But I got out of the relationship, found out I was pregnant. Shortly after I got pregnant, I found out. Shortly after we split up, I found out I was pregnant. I went to the hospital and detoxed off methadone. It was hard. It took me 9 weeks, but I did it with Colton in my belly because, you know, he didn't deserve that, what I went through for 3.5 years of methadone. I was stupid. I couldn't hold a job. And they all say it's not healthy for your baby to come off of methadone when you're pregnant. But I say different, and God says different. He had a hand in that, and that's another long story. But I was always really smart, and while I was on the methadone, I wasn't smart at all. I mean, it made me stupid. But I thought I was doing the right thing, so I wasn't shooting heroin anymore. But anyway, I detoxed, and shortly after that, I became homeless, and I went to a homeless shelter, pregnant. After I had my baby, I got an apartment in the projects. It was me and my 3 kids. And then I moved another guy in. That's been my biggest problem the whole time. Colton, he was my sunshine though. You know, I would always sing him that song. And he always lit up the room. You go in the bedroom, and it didn't matter what kind of mood you were in, he would put you in a better mood. He was smiling. So then I started taking Suboxone. You know, one drug always leads to another. If you just run from the problem instead of dealing with it, you know, I thought my problem was heroin. Then I thought it was methadone. So now I'm on Suboxone, it's much better. So I'm thinking, you know, that's what I needed to do. I didn't want to go back to using. I didn't want to go back to any of that, so I felt like this was the best. Even though the whole time I was still using other drugs along with the Suboxone, with the methadone. Me and Jason, I shouldn't say his name, but we had a mutual agreement while I was pregnant, that he would be a part of his life. And he wasn't there. First 6 months of Colton's life. I was with my 2 kids and the other guy, and then he came back into his life about 6 months after he was born. He was a wonderful child, and I told Jason, I said, you know, this kid is cool. You know, get your life cleaned up, because I don't know what he was on at the time, but I knew that he needed to come hang out with Colton. So he did. He started getting a job, and one thing led to another. The guy I was with went to prison. I fell off the wagon and went back to heroin. I can't tell you why I did these things. I just can tell you that I did them. There's no good excuse for any of it. But by the time I started partying again, he went back to prison, and Colton, so he started getting in more and more, so I started partying more. That actually landed me in jail. And we actually made another agreement. He said, you know, I'll take Colton, his dad. He said, I'll take Colton, you know, while you're in jail, while you're incarcerated. When you get out, you can come back. So I got out. The day I got out, I found out that he had taken emergency custody. And before I knew it, he took custody. He got custody. He had an attorney. It's a long story. It destroyed me. That's when life became really destructive. I mean, I didn't realize it at the time, but he was my second chance. My sister used to call him my second chance baby. And when he was no longer in my life, I didn't care about anything. I just felt so like a failure. I mean, I had failed, not once but twice, but 3 times. So I started using a lot of meth, a lot of research chemicals. I was in and out of jail for 2 years. I got out, and I thought I was big dog on the street, so I started selling it. What better way, what better way of getting your drugs for free than start selling it? This is really when my life turned upside down. I mean, all these years I thought bottom, I've hit bottom, but no, I hadn't hit the bottom. I rarely slept. I was delusional. I felt like I was crazy. I would actually say I live in Tweakerville, in the bubble, because everybody I was around was just like me, and the real world didn't exist. I mean, it was so bad I had a guy standing at my front door with a shotgun at all times trying to protect me. I thought he was protecting me. No, he wasn't protecting me. In March 2018, the DEA came in on me at the motel that I was staying at. It was 9 of them, and I'll never forget that day. They came in, found they had a search warrant. Somebody had whatever, but they came in. They found numerous pills, 21 grams of methamphetamines, and that was the day. The DEA agent kneeled down beside me, and I was crying, and I was white, I was pale. It was over, and he said, "It's over. This is the day. This is it. You got a chance. You need to get your life together." And that's where my phrase comes in. I say that all the time. You need to get your life together. This is
I don't know what she's talking about.
So this time when I went to jail, it was different. I began to see I had nothing left on the streets. I began to see that this was. They say when you hit rock bottom, a lot of people are on the streets and they're high. Well, my rock bottom was in jail sober because I had nothing. I was numb, but when I got to jail, I could feel. So when I started to feel, I didn't like myself. I went through that jail of my daughter's birthday, my son's birthday, and Mother's Day. And that was the worst I have ever felt in my entire life. My dad came to jail and said, "There's this place called Dad." And I thought, I'm ready. I want to do this. So the DA lets me out. I'm out. Well, I knew I was powerless to drugs. I knew it. And first thing I did was went and got high. And you would think, gosh, what is it? She's made the decision. She wants to go. But when you're an addict, you are powerless to the drug. And so I got with the first friend I knew. We stayed high. I stayed high for 19 days. And I remember thinking the whole time, this is not for me anymore. I don't want this life anymore. This is not who I am. I have no fun in it. I started checking friends off. They're not friends. They're just, God just took my life and wadded it up on a piece of paper and just tossed it away and burned it. And that's what I had to realize. So during those 19 days, he taught me that I no longer needed that life. I didn't need any of those people. And I began to hate the drug. I needed those 19 days. It was part of God's plan for me. Because I may not have been ready if I would have came last May. And she had a bed ready for me last May. And they all prayed for me for months. But God had a different plan. I went back to jail. My probation officer violated me. Went back to jail. And I thought, God, you want me to go to rehab? What is this? I didn't understand what his plan was. I went to prison. I went to prison for 3.5 months. But that was all part of the journey. It was all part of what I learned lessons throughout all of it. I met some incredible women in prison. I mean, and everybody has a story. I learned not to be so judgmental. And since I've been here at Tabitha's, I remember the first day. Kayla, she's not here right now, but she could tell you. She slept with the phone in the bedroom the first night I was here because she thought I was going to run. But I wasn't. I was ready. I was just scared. I've never dealt with my emotions. I've always had walls. And, I've never been a crier because then you have to deal with your issues. If you choose to cry, then that means you're feeling. And I didn't want to feel. But I knew the year at Tabitha was going to make me. And I was scared of that. But I was ready. And this year has been hard. It has been hard. It has been worth it. This has been the best year of my life. God says in verse, what is it? It's Psalms 34:18. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. And He has for me. I'm still very much broken, but my walls are down. God has. You take great delight in the Lord, He will give you desires of your heart. Yeah. So not only do I need to be here, I want to be here. I love these girls. Miss Cindy, that song, The Defender, she is incredible when it comes to her next to Jesus. I mean, she has our backs when nobody else does, and Jesus does too. He's the defender of our heart. He protects us. I have experienced so much joy and so much passion from living. I mean, I have more fun now sober than I ever did. part of my speech. But God laid it on my heart to my family, to my mom, to my stepdad, to my granny, to my dad and my sister. I am so sorry for always letting you down. And Sierra and Rylan, I'm so sorry. And I hope that you can forgive me. And I love you, and I promise to be the best mom that you need. Sierra, I love you. And Rylan, I love you, and I plan to say that God's going to bring Colton back, because I haven't seen him in 2 years, but I just found out yesterday that he